All right, welcome back to I'm Human Too with Heather Hart. I'm very excited for today's guest. I'm sure those of you who are in Spokane have heard of him, seen his work, a local artist, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. So, who are you? What do you do?
Hey, my name is Sonny Moeckel, spelled Moeckel. I am a painter and musician. I've lived in Spokane since 1996, and so it's just become my forever home here. I've just no matter how many times I've tried, I can't get out of this place. So
Spokane is like that; it just sucks you in. You can't get out.
Yeah.
Where are you from initially?
I was born and raised on the Navajo Reservation in a small little town called Fort Defiance, Arizona. Mm-hmm. I lived there until I left high school. So,
okay, why Spokane? How'd you get?
It's college. I wanted to get out of Arizona, the heat and stuff. So I picked a cooler place.
Yeah, where there's snow and it doesn't get above 20.
Yeah, now I'm like too hot to go back home.
Yeah.
Can't handle that heat, so
yeah,
I love it here.
Yeah, okay. Can you talk a little bit about like the art? I mean, I know your art. I love your art. Fan forever, but like for those of folk who haven't heard of you or what you do, or
well, I was born into a family of artists. There's several of my cousins and who are artists. My uncles, two of my uncles, who were very significant in inspiring me to pick up a paintbrush, were painters for a time. And I was just mostly inspired by my grandmother, who, she didn't paint, but she would weave these traditional Navajo rugs. And she had the whole setup in the living room, and she would just watch all of us and weave her rugs. And then on the weekends, she would go and sell them at the markets. So
you were like raised around
yeah.
this idea of creation.
Yeah. And there's absolutely no jobs. And back in the time I grew up, there was no jobs on the reservation. So you had to find any way to make money, you know, and survive. So, and a lot of them resorted to, you know, art, jewelry, stuff like that. So,
Yeah. What was
rugs, my grandmother. So,
yeah. What was that journey like for you? Like being a young kid and you're kind of already locked into this family trade.
Yeah. You know, I was always following in the footsteps of my brother. So whatever he was doing, I was doing. And some of the times it would be art, sometimes it would be sports, you know. But the house I grew up in, was with my siblings and my cousins, there was at least 22, I believe, living in this small cement little hut, you know, that didn't have insulation, didn't have heater. And we survived. We just, as a family, you know, we made it. And those are the humbling moments, you know, that growing up, you know what it's like to be poor or to rely on your family for your next meal.
And that's really at times all you have when closeness is forced in that way. And you're in it day to day, you know, the things that you maybe even for me, like I take for granted now, but I haven't always had. And I, you know, that reconnection to what my life has been and where I started versus where I am is so important for me because where we've been has created who we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then once you realize the power of your story, you want to tell that story, you know? So that's where art comes in, you know? I didn't take art seriously until about 10 years ago when my dad died.
What was that shift in you?
It's a good question. I think it was just the fact that I was going through this time of brokenness, and I didn't want to be around people. And at the time, I was actually, I was doing very well at photography. I was just starting to take off in my photography, which was something that I was very passionate about at that time. And as you know, photography is a very social job where you're constantly dealing with clients and talking. And losing my dad, I just don't want to be around people or talk. I think I just needed to process it.
Yeah. Well, and that's grief, right? It swallows you.
Yeah.
Like, I get that. And it's hard to even feel connected to the things that you love at times or the people you love. And for me and my story, I was not raised with good, healthy coping mechanisms. I was raised in a lot of dysregulation and chaos and a lot of like figure it out on your own, you know. And as an adult, when hard shit happens, I would try to figure it out on my own, and that meant like I didn't always make the best choices or the safest choices or what was necessarily maybe what I even needed, which made me struggle harder, you know. How did you find your way back to art?
I started with digital painting, and I remember falling in love with that, and then but I remember feeling like there was that connection that I miss with the brush and the canvas. And so I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool, you know, you could do a lot, but I just didn't really like it. So, and at that same time is when I met my wife now, who's an artist as well.
Is she a painter too? Okay.
Well, at the time she wasn't.
Okay.
She was just into realism drawing, which was phenomenal. I mean, she just had books of sketches that you would just be like, wow, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, you should be doing something with this talent. And I had started my journey in painting, and so we just our first date we painted a painting together, and
Nice.
I get all choked up. But
Yeah. Well, it's so connected.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we went on a date and we did a painting, and 10 years later we're still painting together. So
Yeah.
it's pretty. When she came into my life, it's like perfect timing. Just at the time when I was pretty much lost and kind of looking for my place in this world. So, and then just meeting another artist who inspired me to paint, you know, and create art. So it's just it's a beautiful story, and I love to tell it because it's my story.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we've been collaborating in our paintings for 10 years now. We've done a lot of shows. We've done a lot of exhibitions throughout the years. We've gone through the times of you know, when COVID pretty much shut everything down, and that was a struggle for all the artists.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's still finding its way back. You know, I think the art community is still trying to find its way back from that. And I'm just glad to be a part of the art scene here in Spokane. You know, all the artists that I've come to know, and admire, and just, just hopefully I can inspire others to, just do what they love, and find their passion, and just go with it, So.
Do you feel like teaching will ever be a part of that journey, or do you feel like teaching has been a part of that journey for you already? Like, I hear you're very much inspired and influenced and taught by family, and it being kind of a fabric of how you do life. Do you feel like that's how it shows up in your life? Like, you mentioned a kiddo, like, it connected you and your wife now, like...
Yeah, I love the idea of community. I love the idea of helping your neighbor, and I've always, in everything that I've done to this point, I've always collaborated with people. I don't really, I'm not that kind of person who wants all the credit or who is looking for their name in billboard lights. I just love the idea of connecting with someone else, whether it's writing a song or painting a painting, or I don't know, just think that the more people, the better. Because you think about it, you got 2 brains, which is better than 1. 4 set of eyes, which is better than 2. And I just feel like it just makes you better. So.
When do you feel like you learned that? Because I feel like that's definitely not a natural mindset that happens in society today, in just general community. I feel like that's definitely, a very humble, gracious, compassionate way of, like, being in the world and, like, being on path. And...
Yeah. I could tell you exactly when that started. I was in the 1st grade, and they had this art contest, and they said that you have to do an art piece, and it had to be with someone in your family. It had to be a collaboration. Lucky for me.
You're like, who do I choose?
Yeah, lucky for me, I had these phenomenal painters. So I'd asked my Uncle Johnny, and we did this piece, and we ended up winning. And I just remember the impact of that, of having someone to help you, and it just has forever stuck with me.
Do you feel like it's pretty easy for you to ask for help, or like, is it more like you're more comfortable offering help?
I think it goes both ways. I think it's all about communicating, and being able to either speak or to listen, and just it's so vital to communicate what you need or what the other person, what they need. And I think when that happens, it's such a beautiful thing. It's art within itself. And I see that all the time, every day with my wife, is that we talk about these paintings before we even pick out the colors. And then throughout the whole process, we're talking about it. So it's just a huge communication thing. When I lived in Nashville and I was pursuing music and I was playing with musicians and in bands, communication was so vital, especially in songwriting. And so just every aspect of my artistic career has been a lesson in knowing that communication is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you can learn that early on in life, kudos. That's going to get you a lot further than.
Something so simple, but something that
Yeah.
is overlooked, I think.
Oh, for sure. And I think of even, like, art in itself as a way of communicating and, like, yeah, I mean, I think that's what drew me to your art in particular is, like, you're speaking to things that, like, we don't often get connection to in just Spokane, Washington, especially,
Yeah.
you know? And there's like a vibrancy to your work that the first painting I ever bought was, it was so interesting, it drew me in, and then when you're like, oh, it's called The Storyteller, right? It's like that deep connection to who I am and what I do and how I've held myself within my family, and so it was, very just connective and real, and like it felt very intentional, you know. So I see that in the work you do, and like even as you talk about these other kind of, they feel like other lives you've lived, other roles you've played, I'm like, oh, I want to know more, and like what are these different parts of you that have existed?
Yeah. And I just have always been a private person, and it's hard to be a private person anymore in this day and age, and I'm understanding that people just want to know you. People want to know your story, and so I want to be able to become that type of person that's not so introverted, not so quiet, or
Yeah,
under the radar.
totally. It's so ironic. I feel like so many artists are introverted, and so like their worst nightmare is having to sell their art.
Yeah.
Like my husband is an artist, and he's like, I feel like I'm having to whore myself out every time I have to make a case for someone to buy shit from me. And it's like, I just want to be left alone, and I want to have my process, and I want to do my art. And so I get that.
Yeah.
And also, like, at the end of the day, there is a connection piece that happens to an artist that you buy from or support or are interested in. Like, that's the draw.
Yeah.
Not even what you create necessarily, but like, where did that come from? Like, it's speaking to me in a way. Like, do you have that in you too? I think is always the question when I'm like looking at art.
Yeah.
Like it really levels out this humanity and the shared space that we all feel.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you are a supporter, I guess.
Yeah.
Your husband's pretty cool too.
Yeah. He's okay. Yeah, he's super cool. Yeah. And it's I think there's definitely a different way of being when you're an artist. And so it's cool that you as an artist have married another artist. Like, I'm sure there's like a lot of commonality there, and just even an unconscious sense of understanding one another.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's definitely an evaluation of knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses. So knowing that I'm not, I'm old school, I'm not really into the social media kind of thing. She takes on the realm of that, and that's fine. We just kind of deviate different tasks and work with each other's strengths. So, and that's fine with me.
Yeah. I mean, that's important, knowing your strengths.
I think I'm lucky, because most artists, they just got to suck it up and do everything. And I have a wonderful wife who can do a lot of stuff. So I don't have to. So teamwork is definitely making the dream work.
Yeah.
As cheesy as that sounds.
It's real, though.
Yeah.
We're not in this world to do it alone. Like, you know. I'm curious, like, are you happy with where you're at in your art right now, or do you see yourself in a different place? Like,
That is a great question.
just because I ask a question doesn't mean you have to answer it too. Like, you can always divert.
No, I think that's a great question. Our goal last year was to expand and to do a lot of events outside of Spokane, and we did. And so I think with this new year coming up, we had just opened our own studio downtown, so I think maybe the focus this next year will be more on getting settled into the Spokane downtown scene. And as you know, we have a baby. She's just turned 19 months, so traveling with her has been a challenge.
Yeah.
So we're probably not going to travel as much.
That's real. That takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, she's getting to a point where she wants to just run around, and being in the car will probably drive her nuts. So.
Yeah. Where's the studio downtown? Like, how can people find
That is a great question too. It's on Madison,
you? Okay.
and it's at the Luminera building,
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
You know where that is?
No.
Okay.
No. What street is it on, maybe? Or
I will. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called the Luminera building.
Okay.
So it's right next to the bridge. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's on Madison.
Okay. Can people just walk in, or do they need to make an appointment?
Right now,
with
we're
you?
just doing appointment only. Because we're painting, like we're prepping for our last 3 shows, and then I think we're going to be taking the rest of the year off,
Nice.
and then figure out what's next for next year. So
Nice. Do you feel like taking those rest periods are helpful
Oh,
for
yeah.
jumping into a new season?
Oh yeah, definitely. You don't want to burn out. And there, I do more than art, so there's I gotta find a balance for other things like my music, and I got 3 wonderful kids, 2 older boys. One's in the music scene right now in Spokane. He's just getting started, and he's just, as the kids are saying these days, he's slaying it. So I'm super, I'm proud dad.
Yeah.
So, and then my youngest, she's just starting to really pick up a paintbrush, and she really just wants to paint. So we've been letting her paint. And so, yeah, so hopefully they're inspired to be creative in their own kind of way, so.
Yeah. What would you give wisdom to upcoming generations, like around art, identity, how you've held yourself in the industry, like things you maybe wish you knew or someone told you?
Well, I think that we have these dreams, and sometimes we think that's crazy. And I think that in order for something to happen, you got to think it first. And then once that thought lingers and you act upon it, that's when dreams become true, So I think I would just say that if there's a tiny fragment of doing something that you've always wanted to do, you should do it.
Yeah, I like this idea of letting yourself dream.
Yeah.
And dream big.
Yeah. You only get one life, man.
Yeah. Yes. And it goes by quick.
Yeah.
It
Tell
goes
me
by
about it.
quick. Yeah.
You get old and start falling apart.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. That's so real. Yeah. Yeah. No, I always say, like, I don't know that you could pay me to go back to, like, adolescence. Like, I wouldn't want to be maybe young again, but it definitely does fly by, and there are things to be appreciated about where you're at in life in the present moment, and not so worried about constantly jumping forward and moving quick. And I wish I would have slowed down a little bit, enjoyed what I had in that season. Yeah, for sure. And you're kind of like, I mean, generationally with your kids, you're like, you got young adult and baby. You're in a lot of different worlds. You're stretched.
Yeah. I'm wearing this gray hair, man.
Yeah. Yes.
So much.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I mean, I appreciate you being willing to come and talk about your story and your process and like who you are, what you do. I think it's powerful. It's inspiring. So,
and if you see me out there, just feel free to come up and say hi.
Yeah.
I'm always loving a good conversation, and you can go to our website.
Yes.
At moeckelstudio.com. It's spelled Moeckel studio.com. That's the same as on all our socials, Instagram, says Moeckel Studio.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a follow. Buy some of our art.
Get a custom.
Yeah, get a custom. If you love rap music, go check out Bambi. That's my son. And yeah. Go Spokane.
Yay! Thank you, everyone, for listening in. You heard it from the source. Go check them out. Go support. And if you need additional connection, feel free to email, and I can help that connection happen as well. So have a good week. And